Hari Om, friends, well learned so many things, basically the important points which are to be considered while teaching the different patients. Now our aim is to get relief from the different diseases, symptoms and everything. So we have to take a patient from a disease condition to the healthy condition. And this is going to take some time. So definitely this is a journey. Time period may vary depending on so many factors which we already discussed. But actually it is a journey for the patient and for the teacher also. From disease condition to the healthy condition. And during this journey we are experiencing some changes. Because from disease condition and healthy condition, this is a major change. It will not happen all of a sudden. It will happen with smoothly or step by step. So you must understand what are the different steps. Time period may vary, but steps are there. So we must know whether we are on right path or not. That is very important. This is similar as journey to any unknown city. When we are driving on a road, there are different paths also coming in between. It is not only one path. There are diversions also. And we are unknown to that path. So we must confirm every now and then that our path is correct. If you go to the wrong path, you will not reach to the destination of health. We want to reach to that destination of perfect health for the patient. So we must take him because we are the guide for the patient. Patient is not knowing anything. He just wants to reach to the destination with the help of yoga. And we are there to help him, to guide him, and of course to observe also. As we are driving on the road, we observe the milestones. They indicate the name of the destination also, the distance of the destination also. And when the road is unknown, normally we try to observe these milestones. As long as we are getting correct milestones, we think that our path is correct. So you just go proceed. And if you have selected the right path, it is actually the correct path, then definitely you will reach the destination. Time may vary, but definitely you can reach to the destination. So these milestones are there. They indicate that our path is correct or not. If you come across certain different milestones of different destination, then what happens? You immediately stop your journey. You think, oh, I am in the wrong path. Then you consult with expert people there, which is the path, which is the wrong path, which is correct path and all that. And you know, understand what is correct path. Then you may have to come back to some extent, choose the right path, and then again the journey starts. The same case is happening with this journey with the patient. From disease condition to healthy condition. Our destination is health, definitely. So with my experience, I can tell that there are mostly about 10 milestones, which as a yoga teacher you should observe. And you must come across these milestones. Time period may vary little bit here and there. And to certain extent, the sequence also may vary for certain milestones. But at least you must come across all these 10 milestones. Then only you can think that your path is correct. That means whatever you are teaching to the patient is correct. So you continue. And definitely you will reach the destination. So let us understand these different milestones, which is giving the indication about your path of teaching is correct or not. But first you have to understand the starting point of the journey. These are very important points because the starting point, the starting condition itself goes on varying. Starting condition is definitely a diseased condition for a patient. So it includes some symptoms. So patient has got some symptoms. Maybe numbness is there, maybe headache is there, maybe acidity is there, maybe indigestion, whatever it is, these are the symptoms. So patient is having certain symptoms, facing with those symptoms because his disease is not cured. So as long as the disease is there, the symptoms are there, so he has to bear with that. So he is having certain symptoms. So we have to note it down. What are the symptoms? Then he is continuing with some medication. Whatever the pathy is, maybe modern medicine, maybe Ayurveda, maybe homeopathy, whatever it is, or maybe home medicines. Some medicines he is taking and he is getting some relief, not total relief. If he gets total relief, he won't come to you. He is not getting the proper and total relief with the medicine, but at least he is getting some relief with the medicine. So this is his present situation. So he is having some symptoms, he is taking some medicines. Then there are some restrictions for the movements also, as prescribed by the physician. Yes, don't run, don't climb up the staircase, or don't sit on the floor, something like that. That will vary from person to person. But he has got some restrictions and he is following the restrictions. Because if he doesn't follow, his pain will increase, disease will increase. So definitely he is following the restrictions. And there are some restrictions for the food also. It is explained to him, oh, don't take this food. You take only this type of food. Something like that. So these are the main 4 points which are there with the patient at the starting point. So you can say this is a starting point of our journey. That patient is having some symptoms, he is continuing with some medicines, he has got some restrictions for movements which he is following, he is therefore restrictions for the food which also he is following. And because of all this, he is maintaining somehow his health and carrying on his duties. So we have to remember all these things. And my request is that keeping these points unaltered, you have to start yoga treatment in addition. So additionally we are teaching yoga, maybe asana, pranayama and all those things. But for which you do not change anything from this. Don't stop the medicine, don't ask the patient to make any movement or take any food. You should tell him that whatever is instructed to him or her, he or she should follow it 100%. Or you insist to follow. Insist to take medicine, insist to follow the movement restrictions, insist to follow the food restrictions and all. And symptoms are already there, patient is facing all the symptoms. And then we start our journey. The first milestone, indication of your path, whether it is correct or not, is symptoms should not increase. Actually, this is in a negative way, but that is right. You must come across this milestone. Because if symptoms are increasing, the milestone is wrong. So your path is wrong. And if you find your path is wrong, you have to stop immediately. Don't continue teaching. So your selection of all yogic practices and method of teaching must be such that there should be no strain, no pain, no trouble for the patient. So his symptoms will not increase. Because you see, he has got certain symptoms, but he is taking some medicine, he is following movement restrictions, he is following food restrictions. So he is maintaining somehow. And if that state is disturbed by some yogic practices, that means symptoms are increased. His pain may increase, his numbness may increase, his tingling sensation may increase. Whatever it is, whatever the symptom is there, that will go on higher side. The indication is your teaching is not proper. Maybe the selection is wrong, maybe the teaching method is wrong, maybe the practicing of the patient is wrong, but ultimately you are a teacher, so you are responsible for that. So you must observe that nothing is increased. So that is why I call this as a first milestone. And that is very, very, very important. If the symptoms are increasing, that means something definitely is wrong. With our teaching, symptoms should not increase. Rather, they should decrease. But right now I am not discussing, because this is first milestone, I am discussing about the reduction in symptoms. I say at least let it be as it is. So after starting yogic practices, at least we should not disturb the condition of the patient, which is in the beginning. Then only we can say, yes, our path is correct. If symptoms increases, any of the symptom, and that of course you have to ask for. So patient is coming to you every day. So every day you should ask him, how you are feeling? You have done yogasana pranayama yesterday. What is the result? How do you feel? How about the symptoms? He says, okay, I am feeling not improved but not disturbed. Because one day nothing is going to improve, but at least nothing should be disturbed. But suppose he says, oh, some symptom is more disturbed. I get more headache. I get more acidity. Something like that, whatsoever it is. So the symptoms are increasing. What is the reaction for you? You stop practice immediately. First you stop. Don't continue the practice for the particular patient. Then you check the cause for the same. Why symptom has increased? You can ask some questions also for the patient, what he has done yesterday. But everything is normal. He has taken the medicine, he has followed the restrictions for movement, food, everything is normal, and the symptom is increasing. Definitely that is because of your training of yoga. You are not trained properly. Something is wrong in you only. Then you need to know what is wrong. Then you modify. The asana you have selected may not be proper. The asana's teaching technique may not be proper. The practicing of asanas may not be proper. So all these things you have to find out what is not correct. If needed, you may consult with another expert also. Definitely, there is no harm in consulting. But you must come certain fixed decision that this is the cause because the symptom is increased. So when you know the cause, remove the cause. So modify your treatment, modify the selection, modify the training system, modify the method, whatever it is there. And then continue. Again you ask the next day also, how is the symptoms? If he says okay, then that your path is correct. What change you have accepted was correct. If it is still not okay, something is again wrong. So this you have to continue as long as patient is happy. There is no increase in symptom. Rather it will start reducing the symptom. So that is the right way. But for that, I give one very special clue, rather I can say. Suppose you are teaching a particular asana to the patient. Then after teaching the asana, you should ask the patient his reaction. How do you feel? That is your question, and patient has to answer. If he says, yes, I am feeling very good by this practice of asana, it means that asana, that technique, everything is suitable for a patient, so there is no harm, you continue. But suppose the patient says, I was having pain when I was practicing the asana, but when I relieved the asana, the pain is gone. So there was a temporary pain during the practice of asana. In such case, you should reduce the strain of the asana, because this indicates that patient has practiced the asana with overstrain. Overstrain is never recommended in yoga. So reduce the strain. If you might ask him to attend the ideal posture, and because of that he might have given the overstrain, and that has increased the pain. So don't overload, don't overstrain. Tell him that you don't attend the higher position, you keep it at some lower position only, which is comfortable, because definition of asana is steady and comfortable posture. If the patient is losing comfort because he is getting pain, that means he is losing the comfort. That is not asana. Don't go for that. Okay, the third reaction of the patient is, I got a pain during the practice of asana and now also it is continued. So pain is not over. There is a long pain, long-term pain by practice of the particular asana. Okay, then patient will go home, he will come tomorrow again. Then you can ask, how is your pain now? He may say, now it is not there. It was there, but when I go home, I started my routine job and the pain has automatically disappeared. He has to do nothing, no special treatment for that. In that case, you have to reduce the timing of asana, which you might ask for. You might ask the patient to maintain maybe for a half a minute. And then he gets the pain which continues for a few hours and disappears automatically without any treatment. Then that half minute itself is more. You ask him to maintain for 15 seconds and get the same similar reaction. Then the reaction will be, yes, okay, now there is no pain. So let him practice for 15 seconds and not the 30 seconds. The fourth reaction is still worst. Patient will say that, yes, whenever I was doing the asana, the pain was there. When I left the asana, still the pain continued. When I went to home, the pain continued. For a long time, I had to take some painkiller to stop the pain. Or pain is continued for the second day also. This indicates that selection of that particular asana is no good for the particular patient. Stop that asana. Don't teach him. Continue without that particular asana. You can continue with other techniques. So this is how for every asana or every yoga practice, it may be asana, it may be pranayam, it may be cleansing process. You have to get a feedback from the patient every now and then. Patient may get disgusted sometimes. Why you are asking every time how you feel and all that. But still you should continue. Because we must get feedback. Patients may or may not give the feedback of their own unless they are asked for. So we have to ask the feedback, particularly for the new asana. Or if you are increasing the timing of particular asana, then you need to get this feedback. And according to the feedback, you have to modify your teaching system. So if you do all this correctly, then there won't be any problem. Wherever there is some problem, automatically patient will give some feedback and you will modify that, and then you will come across the next milestone. The first milestone is over, that symptoms are not increased. And first milestone is very important. It indicates that whatever road you have selected is correct. So whatever program, whatever technique you are selected and you are practicing and teaching is correct. Then definitely after some time you will come across the second milestone, where the medicines can reduce. Because you know the starting point. It is there. So medicines are continued. With the medicines and all those restrictions of movement and food, and the patient was getting somewhat better condition. That is the starting point. You started teaching him yogic practices after proper selection and all that. There is no increase in pain. Definitely the practices will have good effect and his symptoms will start reducing. And that indicates that medicine has to be reduced. Otherwise, if the symptom is not reduced, and medicine is not reduced, that will be some problem. I can give some example. See the blood pressure, hypertension patient has come. So he takes maybe 2 tablets a day, one in the morning, one in the evening. And with these 2 tablets, his blood pressure remains normal, 120/80. You started teaching program, yoga program. Symptom is not increasing, blood pressure is not increasing. But after a few days, blood pressure will start reducing because there will be effect of blood pressure, the effect of yogic practices on the blood pressure. So blood pressure will start going down. Now medicine also is there. So there is a dual effect of medicine as well as yoga. So blood pressure can go to lower level than required, which you can measure and find out. So when the blood pressure is low, that is also not acceptable. That is also a problem. So how to bring to normal? Reduce the medicine. That is the right way. But which you cannot do it. You are not authorized to deal with medicines. So you should say to patient that you are approached to your physician. Tell him that you are doing practicing yoga. So he will check up your blood pressure will be below normal, definitely. So definitely he will cut down the medicine. He will say you take half medicine only, not the full one. Take half of tablet. That is a good sign. So this is a second milestone where there is a reduction in medicine. Whatever the disease is, whatever the medicine is, but medicine must reduce. You must come across this milestone also. If the medicine is not reduced, you are just teaching yoga. What is the effect of yoga then? Its original condition remains as it is. There is no improvement. So there is no effect of yoga. So you must come across this milestone also that medicine must be reduced. But of course, that is to be done by physician, not by you. But you must recommend patient to approach. So we will come across this second milestone also. When you cross the second milestone, the medicine is reducing now. Slowly. The third milestone is reduction in intensity of the symptom. Symptom is there, but the intensity is reduced. Suppose there is an asthma patient. He is getting the asthmatic attacks. And when he gets the attack, he uses that spray, some medicine. And he faces the capacity of the attack also. So the attacks are there. Maybe he will be getting attack maybe 2 times, 3 times a day. Or maybe once in a week. So after some practice of yoga, there will be still more. Attack was there. If you ask, yes, there was attack yesterday. But he can say how he dealt with that attack. He may say that up till now, for such attack, I had to take the injection. Maybe Derifalin injection for asthma. But yesterday's attack was not so serious. I managed with the tablet. No injection was required. So this indicates that the intensity of the attack is reduced. That is only because of yoga practice. So this is how you can find the third milestone, that intensity of the attack is reduced. Intensity of the symptom, I can say. If there is a headache, the patient will say, yes, headache was there, but that was not so severe as before. So definitely the intensity reduces. And of course, the medicine also is reduced. That is the second milestone. So medicine is reducing, intensity of attack or intensity of symptom is also reducing. So definitely these are the positive signs that our path is correct. Your selection of yogic practices, teaching of yogic method and everything is correct. So that is good. Then comes the fourth milestone. Sometimes the fourth will come in the space of 3 and third can come in the space of 4. That won't matter much. The next milestone is that reduction in frequency of symptoms. Asthma patient using the spray maybe 4 times a day because he is feeling breathlessness. So he takes the spray. He gets an immediate relief. But in the beginning it was 4 times. After a few days if you ask, he says, yes, I am taking the spray, but now I need to take 2 times only, not 4 times. That means the frequency of the symptom is reduced from 4 to 2. After 2 days it may reduce 2 to 1, it may reduce 1 to 0 also. So there will be no symptom. So this is the right path. So every milestone is indicating a right path for you, if it is correct. And this information you should bring to the notice of the patient also. You tell him, you are taking spray for 4 times a day, now you are taking twice a day, so you are improved. So after some days you will not need the spray at all. So patient also will be very happy and confident about the yoga treatment, and of course you are also very happy and confident, yes, I selected properly and taught also properly to the patient. So this is the way how you should observe this milestone. The next milestone, because just see, you are crossing each and every milestone. Symptoms are not increased, first milestone. Medicine is reduced, symptoms are reduced, intensity is reduced, frequency is reduced. So very nice results are there. And a stage will come that the symptoms will disappear. You will not feel any symptom. You will say, no, I am not feeling any symptom now. Initially I was feeling some symptoms, but now I am not feeling any symptoms. But because there is no symptom, it is quite possible that patient may think that he has already cured, and so he may stop practicing yoga. So you have to give a strict warning that this doesn't mean that you are totally cured. So you must continue yoga practice. Don't stop, continue it. Even though the symptoms are not there, the disease is still there. We have to remove the root cause of the disease totally. So you must able to come over here and continue the practice. This is halfway of the journey actually. But this journey is not complete. Patient may think that it is complete, but still it is not complete. Because some medication is there, even if it is reduced, he is taking some medication. But if the symptoms are not there, he becomes very happy. I am cured, but he is not cured. The next milestone is medicines are stopped. No medication is required. That means his progress is there. His medicine is being reduced by physician. And a stage will come where physician will say, now you don't need any medicine. So this may be about, I can say, the 6th milestone, that no medicines are required. Because if medicines are continued, they will create some complication. For a diabetic patient, if he has come to this stage and continuing with some medicine, his sugar level will go down. And lowering the sugar level also is a dangerous thing for a diabetic patient. He must stop the medicine. And that decision will be taken definitely by the physician, because when sugar level is low, why he should say to take the medicine? He will stop medicine. So definitely medicines are stopped at this stage. Totally no medicine, no symptoms. So patient also is very happy, and you as a yoga teacher is also very happy. But continue yoga study. Don't stop that, because this is not the final destination. Because the patient has to follow movement restrictions and food restrictions. Medicines are over. Those are stopped. Very nice. But what about restrictions? Now the next milestone is that he can overrule some of the restrictions. Suppose he is asked not to walk fast. But at this stage he can walk fast and he will not face any complication. Sometimes the patient is not asked to sit on floor with cross-leg position. But now he can sit comfortably. So he can overcome the restrictions for the movements and still not getting pain. That is a quite good development. Yes, that is definitely possible. In all the cases, the movement restrictions and to some extent eating restrictions, food restrictions also can be overruled. A person is suffering with cough and cold. So he is asked to take no milk product. So avoid milk products. So he is not taking any milk product. Milk, yogurt, buttermilk, and so on. But at this stage of yoga treatment, his vitality is increased to such an extent that even if he takes milk, he is not facing any problem. So he can overrule the food restriction also. So this is the milestone where you will come to know that the patient can overrule the restrictions also. Medicines are already stopped. Symptoms are also stopped. So he can overrule the restrictions for movement and food. Of course, step by step, not totally. Of course, when there is no restriction now, he can overrule all the restrictions because his health is improved. So we can say the disease is cured. This is milestone number 8. I told you there are 10 milestones. So still 2 milestones are yet to go. But in this stage, we can say yes, disease is cured because he doesn't need any medicine. There is no restrictions for the movements. There is no restriction for the food. And no medicine, that means he is cured only. But still, we must recommend to continue the yoga practice. You should tell him, yes, still there are 2 steps to come. So you continue till that. So the milestone number 9 is root cause is eradicated because the disease is over, but there is a root cause. Just as root is there, but all these stems and leaves are cut off. So the plant can come again after some time. It means the disease can reoccur. And we think that it should not reoccur. Just disease is overcome, that is not sufficient. We have to eradicate the root itself. And for that, the patient should continue yoga practice still further. So it should not stop. So mostly the patients are interested to stop at step number 5, step number 7, step number 8. And every time you as a yoga teacher should encourage them to continue the yoga practice. Because roots are there. But now the milestone number 9, you can say yes, the roots are also eradicated. So there is no possibility of reoccurring the disease. Yoga practice has got to such a tremendous result. So there is no need to do yoga again. And still he will become healthy. he will remain healthy without yoga practice also. So this is such a case. We can say full recovery is there, no doubt. But still, we ask him to continue. For prevention. Because body and the circumstances, the environments, all those things are there. So there is quite possible that disease may reoccur. To prevent for this reoccurrence, we must tell him that you must continue the yoga practice. And of course, the yoga practice is going to help him in other way also. Even if we have selected certain things for a particular disease, but those certain things, maybe asana, pranayam, cleansing process, om chanting, meditation and all those things. One way they will cure the disease totally, eradicate the roots also. But they will help for improvement also. His improvement on physical level will be there, mental level will be there, intellectual level will be there, spiritual level will be there. So that is again a plus point, which is not there in any other therapy. So anyway, he is practicing yoga for a long period. He has got an experience to get relief, total relief from the disease. So total cure from the disease. So let him continue again. So he will be preventing the disease in further life. So that also can be definitely possible with the practice of yoga. And to my experience, if you continue with this, like, so some of the patients, they can become yoga teacher also. They can become yoga therapist also. And they can treat the others also. So originally they were a patient. They came to yoga to get relief from the disease as a patient. But they are cured of their disease totally, completely. They can become yoga teacher and yoga therapist, and they started curing the diseases of the others also. So this is what the aim we should keep in our front and continue the practice of yoga for the patient. So during this total journey now, that means the patient now coming, practicing and maybe teaching. So that is the ideal condition of the development. So this is during the total journey, you must note the all milestones. Sequence may vary, as I told you. The third may be fourth, fourth may be third, something like that may be there, doesn't matter. First is very important. Sequence for the first cannot be changed. But for others, sequence may change little bit. So you don't worry for the sequence, but you must come across all the milestones. And when you are coming across the milestones, you will be noting that, yes, this is the milestone. So you bring it to the notice of the patient also. Yes, this is the improvement, because every milestone is gives some improvement. You are approaching your destination slowly, slowly, slowly. You are going nearer and nearer and nearer. So definitely you bring this point to the notice of the patient. So patient also will be happy. You are already become happy because you are on the right path and you are getting the good results. You are attaining different milestones one by one again. And sometimes these milestones may help you to modify the program. If you don't come across the milestone, definitely you have to stop the journey, check up what is wrong, correct it, modify the program. So that also is one way we can say milestones can help you for modification of this program, which will make better and better results in a shorter and shorter times. Now the duration of the milestone also may vary. In normal condition, it is at every mile. Duration is fixed. But I have given just the example. In this journey from disease condition to healthy condition, the distance between milestones may vary. That means the time period between these milestones may vary a lot. There is no definite thing. And you will come to know after experience for a particular patient what must be the milestone distance and all that. But that may vary, that is definitely. And the change in this milestone is not abrupt. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. There are no abrupt changes like steps. It is a smooth change is there. So smoothly you will come to know, yes, that we are crossed second milestone, we have crossed the third milestone, we have crossed the fourth milestone, and so on. And my experience also that when we are treating a patient with yogic practices and he is improving, we are proceeding on the journey, crossing every milestone one by one. It's a very pleasurable journey. There is no pain, no symptom, no disturbance, no trouble. It's a pleasurable journey for the patient also and for the teacher also. So definitely we enjoy. Actually we have to take efforts of planning everything and teaching and all that. We have to spend a lot of time also. But still we enjoy the journey of patient. You see, I had treated more than 33,000 patients and still I am enjoying this journey when a new patient comes to my hospital. I am always very happy because I get more and more confidence about that. So definitely this is a very pleasurable and comfortable journey. Now we will think of something additional point, that is preparing the prescription. How to prepare the prescription. I have given roundabout idea. I have given the explanation of journey, milestone, everything is okay. But basic point is there. What to teach. So we will understand some important points for this also. When you want to prepare a prescription before starting the journey, and mostly you should not be required to change. So you must prepare a perfect prescription that you should not be required to change the prescription, change the treatment program. Prescription is nothing but a training program for a patient. So first you get a case paper filled. It's a normal procedure. Case paper gives so much of information which the patient is required to be filled. So it gives total information, maybe name, address, just personal information. In addition, what is his disease, what are his symptoms, what are the medicines, what are the tests. Now everything is there in the case paper. So first you have to study the case paper before interviewing the patient. When patient comes to you, you give him the printed blank case paper. Ask him to fill it. And after you study properly. Studying the case paper is a very special job. If time permits, we will discuss on that. But you study yourself. What is the condition of the patient? What is the age of the patient? What is the weight of the patient? What are his symptoms? What is the service conditions? What he does throughout the day and night? And all of these things are there and that you must know. Then you have to study the medical reports because patient normally has got a big file. It contains a lot of reports. Maybe blood report, urine report, stool report, and blood sugar report, hemoglobin, or maybe some X-ray, maybe MRI, maybe scan, CT scan. Oh, all these reports are there. So you have to study those reports. Of course, every report is attached with the comment of the expert also. So that comment also is helpful for you. But still, you must be able to interpret the report irrespective of the commentary. After knowing all these things, then you conduct a personal interview for the patient. Because everything may not be there in the form. Everything may not be there in the report. There may be some additional things which you are interested to know about the disease and condition of the patient. So you can conduct the interview. And patient has to give all the answers. That is also a skillful job. You have to ask perfectly, properly, so you will get the proper results. So conduct an interview. Of course, as you gain the experience, you will be able to conduct the interview properly to get lot of information. Patient can give lot of information which is very useful for preparing the prescription or preparing the training program. Suppose if you need the report of some additional test which have been not carried out by the patient. It happens many times. That we think that yes, this report must be there. I am doubtful that this is problem. So you ask the patient to carry out the test. No harm in that. And patient carries out the test in some laboratory and all that and can give you the report. So with all this, that means studying of case paper, studying of medical reports, conducting the personal interview, carrying out some additional test, again studying that report, all that, then you can come to the diagnosis. What is the problem? What is the defect? And then you have to think of yogic practices. Now we will be discussing different diseases. At that time we will consider all these things. Now I am giving the structure of it. In details we will study afterwards, disease wise and sometimes the patient wise also. So then you have to decide some groups of yogic practices. The first group is you have to decide the primary yogic practices. They may not be directly effective for the disease, but they are needed for preparing the muscles and joints of the patient and body also of the patient for the important practices. So preparatory practices, maybe preparatory movements, basic movements, Pawan Muktasan series, these are all preparatory practices. Because the patient coming to us is totally new for yoga. He is not a yoga teacher, he is not a yoga practitioner, he doesn't know anything about yoga, he never practiced yoga. So his body and joints are not ready for practicing all these asanas and all that. So definitely we have to prepare. So that is why I call it primary yogic practices or preparatory yogic practices. You can use the word preparatory also. We will discuss these practices when we will discuss different diseases. Now I am giving the structure, the details we will discuss afterwards. Then you have to come for the essential yogic practices which are directly connected with the particular disease. Whatever the disease is there, whatever the cause is there, what you have studied only. So according to that, you have to select the asanas, pranayamas, meditation and all those things. So that is essential yogic practices. That is the second group of practices. Then third group is optional. That you may teach, you may not teach. They are not so essential for improvement. But they can be practiced. They will not disturb the condition of the patient. Some practices are like that. Because of what happens, patient comes every day, he practices same asanas and all that, and after he says, you teach something new. Actually, you taught him whatever is essential. But still he wants to know something additional. So this may be the things. Optional is, this may be practiced, may not be practiced. That will depend on the time available as well as the interest of the patient. So you can teach this, may not teach this. It doesn't matter. Then there will be contraindicated yogic practice. This is also very important, which is not to be taught. If patient is suffering for hypertension, inverted postures should not be taught at all. Suryodaya Bhedan Bhastrika Pranayam should not be taught at all. So these are contraindicatory practices. So you have to write down that. What are the contraindicated practices? Again I am telling you, details we will discuss when we will discuss every disease. We will discuss the program in this format only, but in details afterwards. Now I am giving the structure only. Then you have to mention do's and don'ts for physical movements and do's and don'ts for the food, diet, according to the disease. So this is what you have to study properly and then inform that don't make this movement or make some modification. Suppose a cervical spondylitis patient has come over here. So what he is doing, he is operating laptop throughout the day. Laptop is kept on the table, he is sitting on the chair and operating the laptop like this. So his neck is always bent forward. And that is a cause for his cervical spondylitis. So you should tell him that you lift your laptop little above. Bring the screen in the eye level. So you can suggest certain modifications. So these are do's and don'ts for the physical movements. Suppose a person is fully standing, maybe a shopkeeper, fully standing throughout the day. You can recommend him to use a higher stool on which he can sit for some time in between. Suppose a person is sitting job full day. You can ask him to get up every after half an hour, make some movement, then continue the work. Some suggestions you can give. That is do's and don'ts for physical movement. Similarly for the food also. Some food he must take, some type of food he should not take. So all these are included in the training program. We can suggest some supporting therapies. If you know or if you can manage. Some herbs from Ayurveda. Of course, you are not authorized to recommend those herbs. But if you have got some connection with some Ayurveda expert, you can refer the patient to Ayurveda expert to suggest some herbal medicines. They will definitely improve the condition little bit fast. Of course, afterwards we have to stop that medicine also. Complete cure is total absence of medicine, whether Ayurvedic or even homeopathic. But time being, we can recommend. So we can add this therapy or Ayurveda or even massage therapy. If some muscular pain is there, massage therapy can be given. If you know, you can give it. Otherwise, you recommend it to some massagist. Or you can join massagist with you also. Then you can add some naturopathic treatments also. Maybe steam bath, hot foot bath, mud application, something like that. If you know, you can suggest. If you don't know, you can refer to certain experts. So these are the supporting therapies which we can add, which will definitely reduce the recovery time. Patient will be better earlier without any complication. Then physiotherapy also may be needed for certain problems. So we can suggest. If you know, you teach him. Otherwise, you suggest the contact with some experts. That is going to definitely help in the cure. Then magnetotherapy, there are different types of magnets are there. They are mostly used for reducing the pain, increasing the blood supply. So wherever you need these results, you can recommend, you can use. Magnets are available. If you want to use it yourself, you must study, of course. You have to study all that things. And then only you can use it. Otherwise, you can take a guidance from the expert. It may be the Reiki therapy, it may be pranic healing therapy, it may be acupressure therapy. So all this also can be supported because these are drugless therapies. Except Ayurveda, these are drugless therapies. So we can make use of these therapies in addition with our yogic programs. So this is again procedure repeated to give some more emphasis on that. That you get the prescribed form filled properly. Then note the results of the investigations. I already explained these points. Note the important points. Personal interview with the patient. And you assign the category. This is some additional point. So I repeated all these things. And also note the time available. That is also important. How much time is available? Because we have to manage within that time. Sometimes we have to request to provide more time. Because patient may say, I got only 4 days. And it is not possible to teach the total program in 4 days. Then you have to tell him, it is not possible. It may need maybe 15 days, so you must spare 15 days. Then only you will get cure. Otherwise, no. So time limit also is important in both the cases. This is what the major category is. This is what is also important for you to decide. A is perfectly healthy person, no problem. So you can teach anything to him. He may have got very minor problem, that is B, that is minor problems. Some physical complaints are there. They are minor, not so serious. He may not be taking any medicine, but the complaints are there. So that is category B. Category C is major illness, but controlled with medicine. That is little bit to think of. That is major illness is there, but he is controlling with medicine. Then D is a history of accidents and surgery. The patient has got some history. There were some accidents, there was some surgery. So you have to note down how much period it was, how long, and what was the surgery, when it was carried out, when was the accident, what was the damage, how it is corrected. All those information you must collect for category D. And category E is a severe physical problem. So you as a beginner, I can say, because you will be learning all these programs and everything, and then you will start treating the patients. So as a beginner, you should not treat category C, D and E. A, perfectly healthy, so no problem, so you can teach anything, no harm. But B, minor diseases, you can start with the minor diseases patients. Don't take the major diseases in the beginning. So you will develop certain experience, and then you can add category C also, where you can take some major illness but controlled properly. If you want to add D and E is very serious. You will need lot of experience, lot of knowledge for that. So you just make yourself limited to beginning A and B. After certain experience and certain mastery, you can connect C also with you. And for D and U, definitely large experience and knowledge is required. So you select the most suitable package, because now there will be a combination of diseases. Now we will come to the combination of diseases. A diabetic patient is there, but he has got blood pressure also. So there is a combination of diabetes and blood pressure. So you have got a program for diabetes, which will be giving to you during this course. We will give you the program for hypertension also. So you got two programs. Patient has got diabetes and hypertension. You have got the program of diabetes, program of hypertension. So two programs are selected. Now every program contains some contraindication. In diabetes also some contraindication is there, hypertension also contraindication is there. So you remove all practices which are contraindicated for both. If you have selected three programs, you have to remove all contraindications from all three. Because contraindication is not to be taught. So wherever it is there, you just remove from all the programs. So you will have got a totally different program. Say diabetes plus hypertension, but within that, with both the programs, you remove the contraindications. So some different program is there with you. Then you may add something new to that program. If you think that, oh, this is required, so you can add, which may not be there in diabetic program or hypertension program. So first you combine these two programs, then you remove the contraindications, then you add some yogic practices if you think so. Then you got a complete program for a particular patient. It's an individual specific program. Then you arrange all the practices. These are all yogic practices. Arrange in a sequence from easy to difficult format. So that will be arranged program in sequence. Total program, of course, for a patient. And then you have to prepare a schedule, because there is a time availability you have to concern, your time availability as well as the time availability of the patient. So it may be a 15 hours. So this total program is to be divided in 15 hours. So your everyday program is ready. And then you can start everyday program. day by day. So within the particular period, you will finish all programs. Of course, you have to observe all milestones. All other things are already there. Everything is there. Everything you have to follow. This standard format of the lesson is, you see, first is the initial prayer. It may be just Om chanting or any other prayer which you select. But your class must start with initial prayer. Then you conduct the preparatory practices first. So his body and mind and joints will be able to ready to do the asanas and afterwards. Then you conduct the revision of practices already taught, because it's a continuous program from 1 day to 15 days or 30 days, something like that. So every day you are teaching something new. So whatever you had taught yesterday, that you have to conduct the revision. So revision of the practices already taught. Then you have to teach some new practices according to your schedule. Every day you have to teach something new. Lastly, you have to take the breathing practices. Whatever the pranayamas and what you have decided in your program, that you go on add. Lastly, not in between, not in front. And there will be a final prayer which will conclude the total daily program. So likewise, you have to prepare the daily programs depending on the time available. Chalk it out on the paper. And then you can continue. When if you plan perfectly, execution is very similar. Then you have to give some additional information, that is improvement in diet. So you have to study to some extent dietetic program also. So you have to suggest the diet also, which is suitable, which is not suitable. Then you can give some suggestion for the activities which I already explained. That you raise the laptop to your eye level, or use the stool, something like that. Some improvement you can suggest. And supporting exercise, particularly walking, that is most suitable for most of the patients. So you can recommend patient. They cannot come to your studio and walk. They can walk up their own. So you can suggest them, you walk 30 minutes, you walk 40 minutes, or you walk 60 minutes, and so on. So these are the additional recommendations which we can give to the patients. So that's all about. So we have studied the different milestones, which is very important during the journey. And then how to prepare the training program for the patients. Of course, I have given in short. These things we will be discussing in details for specific diseases when we will come across the diseases. Because we have selected many diseases. In there, we are going to explain you each and every disease. And there we will decide how to decide the program also. So you will come to know the details when we discuss detail and different diseases. Hari Om.